Welcome back to my channel, Who's Outdoor 1969. On today's video, I'm going to go over another one of my guns here. Even though it looks like a AR, it's actually not. It's a AR12 or a 12 gauge shotgun on the AR pattern. I got this last year. Yeah, I got this about this time last year, if I remember correctly. Slept a few times. Just kind of wanted a semi-auto because I got a pump action, so I wanted a semi-auto to go with it. One of the guys I shoot with has a Rock Island AR12, which I liked it, so I figured I'd get one. Well, the shop where I bought this at actually had one in stock. By the time I got the money, that one sold. He happened to have this one in stock, and he handed it to me after checking it out. I ended up buying it. What this is the Citadel Boss 25 in 12 gauge. It's either Legacy Arms or Legacy International imports it. Made in Turkey. Yeah, I believe the Rock Island ones are made in Turkey also. Just about all the AR, seems to be all the AR style shotguns, I guess, are made in Turkey. Some people like them, some people don't. It doesn't matter to me. Shotgun's a shotgun. But anyways, after having this for a little bit and shooting it, it's an okay shotgun. When I bought it, what it came with was 2 of the 5-round magazines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 chokes. So I got 4 in here, plus this one, and the key to remove these. Comes with 2 different gas rings. You got a low pressure, high pressure. The high pressure is 1,600 feet per second or faster, basically higher in slugs. And then the low pressure is anything below 1,600, like 1,500 and lower, like birdshot and stuff like that. Like I said, it came with the 2 5-round magazines, this one and that one. Then I bought this 10-rounder. One thing I have noticed, because in a way I kind of had a thought behind it, maybe using it for home defense. But what I had noticed, when you load the magazine, there's enough spring pressure in there that after a day or two, it will start compressing and deforming the hulls. I've only had this one loaded for a little over a day. Pop this top one out. And I'm not sure how well you can see it. Back up a little bit, but right here where my finger is touching, it starts to flatten. Sorry if I just yelled. It starts to flatten out the shell. What happens when that? What happens is if you leave this loaded, and then when you go to load it, instead of just popping to the chamber because it got flattened out and it's oblong, it catches, so it won't load. So if you're looking at maybe getting one of these for home defense, that is something to keep in mind. When I bought this, like I said, it came with the 2 5-rounds, the chokes and the case that the chokes are in. Came with the backup sights, this one and this one, which they're Magpul style, they're M-bus. Cheek piece is adjustable, which right now I got it loosened so I could show that. It's a side charge, so it's not like a regular AR. It's got AR controls. Let me grab this real quick, see if I can do this without throwing everything all over the place. So, hey, there it is. Like I said, it's side charge. Typical AR mag release right here. On the other side here. Back up so it will focus. You got your ping pong paddle for bolt release. And your safety selector. Fire and safe. Okay, now one of the little quirks or safety features in this, I am not sure which it is when the hammer is down, in order to cock it, it has to be on fire. If it's unsafe, you cannot cock it. Once the hammer's been cocked, it doesn't matter if it's unsafe or on fire, you can still work the bolt. But like I said, when it is unsafe and the hammer is down, like you just fired your last shot and it fell on an empty chamber, and you put it on safe, you cannot move that bolt handle. I don't know if that's just poor engineering or if it's a safety feature. I'm going to look at it as a safety feature, because in that way you know that it's not loaded. The trigger is AR style, but I do not believe it is replaceable. I'm not able to. You're not able to separate it like a normal AR, whether it be an AR10 or AR15 or SR25. You can't separate it like that. The upper and lower are one piece. I do believe the grip is interchangeable, so you can remove that. The way you see it, minus the BSA cheap BSA red dot on there that I've had for I don't know about that many years, and then my Magpul UTG bipod. Those are the only two things that I have put on it. Everything else, the way you see it, is how it came from the factory. It takes 2 3/4 and 3-inch. So when I got this and I started shooting it, I had some serious teething issues with it. I had feeding issues. I had a few failure to eject issues. But the only issue I did not have, it always went banged. Once the round got in the chamber, it always fired. So I've never had a failure to fire. One of the feeding issues that I've come across is what I noticed, because I was comparing these 5-rounders to that 10-rounder, because I could load that 10-rounder up and it'd go through all 10 without an issue. So I got to comparing, and what I had, get up here in the camera, what I had figured out, shut this down a little bit, is the feed lips here were actually squeezed in too far. So once I figured out how much I needed to move it and opened up a little bit, that took care of the majority of the feeding issues. Now it still does hang up here and there. Happens, it'll go, I'll just use this gas ring here. It's like it's gonna go into the chamber. Instead of going like that, it would catch here, right on the top edge, which usually wasn't much, but just pull the hammer back so it can drop down and it would go right in. But like I said, every now and then it still hangs up right there. I don't have nearly the feeding issues that I did when I first got it. In their owner's manual, they did in big bold letters. You need to fire at least 100 high brass rounds, high velocity rounds through it. So here's buckshot that I have in my hand. High brass rounds like this through it to break it in. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of a break-in for most guns. Whether it be a rifle or a pistol, you should be able to grab it and go. This is my first introduction to this style of semi-auto shotgun. I got a Mossberg 935 that eats anything I put in it. And I also have a Mossberg 500, which is the pump action. Eats anything I put in it. But this style, magazine fed, I don't know if it's just they're saying you needed to break in to help break the magazine in to the gun or whatever. I don't know. But after I got about 100 or so rounds through it of various velocity rounds, high and low brass, that's when I started having better luck with it. So if you do decide to get one, my suggestion is follow the instructions. For me, that's a pain in the ass to do because I just like to grab and go, but I should have followed the directions because I just about got rid of it because of all the feeding issues I was having. To break this down, it's not like a normal AR. You actually need a special tool. That's not really special. You'll need an Allen key. You have two, if I can see here, you got 2 or 3 screws that are right here. You need to loosen up, pop 2 of them loose, and then the third one, you'll need to back out to where the head's sticking out a little bit. After you do that, after you do that, you'll need to take this. In this case, I have to take this out, this choke out. But as long as you got one of these others in, you don't have to. You have to unscrew this. This just slides right off. It's just a shroud. And then this here will just slide right off. It gives you access to the gas key, gas key. As far as swapping out gas keys, it's not hard, but it's not easy. The instructions on how to do this is actually pretty well thought out. It's just once you do it a time or two, no big deal. It's fairly simple to do. I just can't tell you how to do it because this is actually the first time I've had it out in almost a year. Oh, didn't realize that. Put a riser on there that I didn't know about, or that I didn't notice right away. Anyways, no big deal. For me, the only ding, at least for the handguard, that I can knock it for, instead of being M-lock, it's actually key mod. Some people like it, some people don't. In my area, there's not a lot of key mod stuff. It's mostly M-lock. Per my understanding, key mod's kind of gone away. Trying to think here. So I didn't do any notes or anything on this one, so I'm trying to do anything off of memory, which is usually never a good idea. The actual grip on this isn't bad. It's squishy enough and it's big enough that it actually fills your hand pretty, or at least in my case, fills my hand pretty good. I know there's people out there that have hands way smaller than mine, and there's people out there like my friend has ginormous hands. Then again, he's a diesel mechanic working on a heavy truck, so that explains a lot there, at least on him. Now the guy I shoot with is kind of the same deal. He's got hands a little bit bigger than mine. But for me, the grip on that's actually pretty good and pretty comfortable. I know for some it might be too big, others it might not be big enough. Like I said, that's something you won't know until you grab a hold of one. As far as recoil, for being a semi-auto 12 gauge, shooting some of my hand loads through it, plus shooting factory ammo, depending on who, what, and where you start getting up in the higher end of the velocity, you start to notice it more. But overall, recoil's not bad. Backup sights here, they're definitely not high quality. They're definitely not Magpul quality, because I know on this one here, if I can get it to it, if you don't hold it when you release it, see if it'll do it. That little click right there. Let me go again. Hang on. Put my mic down here. All right, I got it down. When you flip it up, that little click right there is actually it dropping back into its full upright position instead of, because it overshoots a little bit. Nothing major. On the rear sight, since it's an AR style sighting system, I don't think that's going to matter. I don't think the front sight does that. I never actually bothered to pay attention. No, front sight doesn't do that. It hits and stops. If I can get this out. There we go. And the only issue that I have had, this choke with the muzzle brake on it. Trip over everything. This one here is what they're calling a half modified choke. I have no idea. Didn't know such a thing. I know full, extra full, improved, cylinder, stuff like that. But like I said, in the case of this, to get this off, if you have the muzzle brake one on, you put that on there. Oh man. Okay, got that on there pretty tight, so I'm going to have to use a strap wrench to get that. But that's what I was coming to. When I first got this piece, and there's a little jam nut that hooks to this. I actually had those separate. So once because it was tight just like it is now. So what I had to do, once I got both them pieces to come out, I put some blue Loctite on it. And I haven't had it come loose since then. But as you just seen right now, I cannot get it to come loose. So I can do this without hurting myself. Nope. Man. Okay. Now as far as getting these sights dialed in, it took me a little bit. But then again, also wasn't much of a hurry. I'd shoot, wait for the people next to me to get done. I'd run down range, see where I hit, come back, make my adjustments, so forth and so on. Once I finally got the irons in, I had a different red dot on here, which ended up being a bigger chunk of shit than this BSA that I have on there. That took me forever to get that thing to zero in, so I could get it adjusted where I needed it to go. Send my next couple shots down, and it moved way too far. And another issue I was having with it is I could not keep that stupid thing tight. It always worked itself loose. So that could be a common problem on semi-auto or on shot. Well, yeah, on semi-autos, because I got a red dot on my Mossberg that hasn't come loose yet. But as far as this here for a range toy, I think it's a perfect range toy. How reliable it is, I don't know, because like I don't really have a lot of rounds through it. I got maybe 300 rounds through it. I just got busy, so I just started working an ass load of overtime. Right now it's kind of slow, so I might be able to get out and play with it a little more. But as far as loading the magazines, it's not overly complicated to do, but there is kind of a specific way. You got to put your first round in, make sure it's all the way back. I may have to do this a different way. I don't know how well this is going to work out. Oops. Okay. And when you go to put your next round in, what I have found that works best for me is to push down like so. So you're down below. Set your second round in, and then push down a little bit on the front end here to help pick the back end up, and then shove it back. If you don't, on some, whoops, as I launch it, when you go to load it, you're going to catch that right there where the plastic and the head mate, and you won't be able to get it to go in, especially when you start getting down to the third, fourth round in it. It becomes real hard after that. But what I've noticed that works real good, like I said, just take it, shove it down like that, put your next round in, and it will actually pack that before you get all the way in there. Just push down a little bit and then it'll pop right in. Okay, something else. It's more of an FYI, or not really an FYI, just information. This little nub here on the back, there we go, right there, is actually what activates your bolt stop. And I just figured I'd let you know on that, because that's what I noticed. And I said in the lock point's just like a standard AR. A little notch right there. As far as magazines, you got 5 rounds, you got 10 rounder there in the middle. There's a 25 round stick mag, which well, would look something more like that. Actually, both 10 rounders down there. Slide this up so you can actually see a little better. That's kind of what the 25 round stick magazine will look like. It's ungainly. And I do believe they have a 25 round drum mag. I'm thinking it's Pro Mag that makes it. It seems to have pretty good reviews, which for Pro Mag I find kind of interesting. I've never had that good of luck with Pro Mags. I had some Pro Mags for my M1A, and they didn't feed right, and they never locked the bolt back on the last shot. So, like I said, when it comes to this, and if you get it and you're having some feeding issues, first thing to do is take a look at your feed lips here, which, as I pointed out earlier, is this section right here. You may have to open it up a little bit. So, like I said, because in the case of these, they were pinched in, like that. So I had to open them up. That took care of a lot of the problems. Then again, you might get it and it might work perfectly right out of the box. I don't know. But one thing I do know is you do want to follow the break-in procedure. Because I was kind of looking at all the reviews out there, and everyone, they were able to pick it up and just start shooting. What I kind of figured out was those were a T&E, so they've already had the rounds through it, and they're already broken in. There was a few that I seen that were personal purchase like this, and this come out of my own pocket, and they were having some of the issues that I was having, getting a failure to feed, mostly failures to feed. And then, like I said, I had a few failure to ejects, which, if I remember correctly, those were on my hand loads. The only other issue I had or the failure to feed was I didn't have the right piston, and I actually had the heavy gas piston in, so it wasn't letting enough gas through to cycle, or wasn't letting enough gas through to cycle the bolt on some lighter rounds. They were buckshot at like 1250, so it wasn't enough to get it to function. So far, these here, which brand are these? I don't remember. And I don't remember what brand. Fetter? Yeah. Got another one here. Double lot. I believe these are Fetter. I don't know who, what, or where. Actually, I think they're before the ban on Russian stuff. I think that's where those came from, was from Russia. Those will actually work with the heavy piston in. That's something else that you want to pay attention to. If you're running slugs, you got to pay attention to the velocity. Because I do actually have a little bit of damage in here because I wasn't paying attention. I had the light piston in, so when I would shoot, it cycled without, didn't have any issues cycling. But I noticed the recoil was a lot sharper, and I actually sustained a little bit of damage on the locking lugs on the bolt. Nothing major, just it rolled it a little bit. Nothing serious. Nothing I'm concerned with. So my suggestion on that is, if you're going to shoot slugs out of it, make sure you got the heavy piston in. Like I said, as long as your little shroud there isn't locked on like mine is, stuck on there, you can swap from heavy to light, light to heavy, and probably inside of 5 minutes. I said I think this only has 2 bolts. You got one you got to loosen, and one you got to spin out like 2 or 3 turns, maybe all the way. I can't remember. Pull your shroud off. That should slide right out on your. Like I said, pull your shroud off, unscrew this, let it slide off, and then this will just slide right off. You don't even have to take your sights off. Then you see piston is roughly right here. You got like a sleeve you'll have to unscrew. Oh wait, yeah, you got to slide the handguard off. Then over here on the other side, there's like a takedown lever. Let me show you that real quick. Right here, you have a takedown lever, and what you'll have to do is actually grab a hold of the whole piston assembly here, slide it back a little bit, or push the barrel in. I can't remember which. Then either you push this down or flip it up. I can't remember. Then the whole barrel should come out. That will give you full access to the gas pistons. And you got like a sleeve you'll have to disassemble, which isn't all that difficult, but sometimes it does get stuck. Like that, disassemble the sleeve, and then you push. I think you push the piston. I know the piston's free floating. There's something you got to move because you got 2 little half rings, circ clips, whatever you want to call them. They're similar to what would be, at least for mechanics, I don't know what this, but what a valve lock is. The little piece that holds your valve in place. It's along that line, or the little circ clip that holds your U-joint into your drive shaft. It's along that line, but they're just held in place by spring pressure. So you got to slide that; those fall out. Then you can slide the rest of that assembly off, swap out your piston. Just make sure you put your other piston in on the same way, and then just reassemble in reverse order. Like I said, it's not super difficult to do. You do it a few times, you can have it done in like 5 or 10 minutes. And unless you're really good, then you can probably have it done in less than that. But then you can shoot the lighter rounds, like skeet rounds and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't. Most stuff I shot has been fairly, pretty high velocity, 1,300 feet or faster, just to help break it in. But hopefully I can get to the range here before too long. I may have to take this out because, like I said, it has been a while. And I'm not sure if I got that red dot on there zeroed. I think I just threw it on there. That way I had something on there to give it the tactical look. But like I said, overall, it's not too bad of a shotgun. Recoil-wise, it's pretty manageable. It definitely throws the shells out. There ain't no mistaking. Kind of like an AK. It gets it out of the way. I think what was my figured ejects, I think it had a little bit of a burr on the extractor. That's the only thing I can think of, or maybe on the bolt face itself. I don't know. But like I said, after roughly a box or two of shells, it would spit them out every time. The only time it wouldn't spit them out was if I'm running too light of a load with that heavy piston in, you know. But other than that, I've actually enjoyed it so far. So that's all I can think of offhand about it. Oh, that 10-round magazine wasn't all that expensive. I think it only cost me maybe $20 for it. I can't remember. I'll have to do some digging, but if I can remember where I bought it from and how much, or actually I got an idea, or a pretty good idea where I bought it from. I'm not 100% sure on the price, but I'll put a link down in the description for this video and where I got it from, and or at least put the website, and if I can find the part number, I'll put the part number in there. I'm still learning this stuff, so I'm not quite sure how to do a lot of stuff when it comes to editing, like some of the others out there that's been doing this way longer than I have. Well, if you stuck through my rambling this long, I definitely appreciate it. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until I do another video, have a good one.